Marketing friends, Andrew Walton here, and I want to show you a webinar sign-up page that I found and the email designed to get people to go to that page that I think is really instructive and will help you with your own marketing. So let's go to the monitor and take a look. All right, so here we are, the free training. I'm going to start by looking at the landing page because you have to write your emails based on what the offer is. So starting with the offer in mind, it's a free live webinar. Unfortunately, the call to action is below the fold, but really in this video, I want to focus on the copy, on the messaging that they're using here. Because some things are really well executed strategically, and there are some tactical, I would say, missteps here. One thing that a lot of us don't get right when we're doing our own marketing is using the language that our audience uses. And by this I mean getting really granular, getting as specific as possible. A really simple example would be if we're talking to marketers, then it's normal to use words like CTR and SEO and PPC and so on and so forth. Every marketer knows those terms, but we can get even more specific than that. If I were to say to you howitzer method, then someone who has been in the marketing game for a while would say, well, that's from Mass Control. That's Frank Kern, that's Mass Control, the howitzer method. If I were to use the word skyscraper technique, most marketers know that that is Brian Dean. That is a blog post creation concept. So that blurs some strategic lines a little bit because those are named concepts that both of those individuals came up with. And that's a bit of a chicken and an egg problem because you have to come up with the language to teach your audience in order for them to use it. But I think this is a very actually instructive example of how to use the language, the pre-existing language that your audience uses and thinks in your marketing. You'll see on this page we have a lot of words relating to attraction, magic, repel, and start attracting clients, and we'll see more of this in the email. I can't say for sure because I don't have their customer avatar in front of me, but I expect that it's someone who might be into the law of attraction, maybe a little bit new agey, high probability that the audience is female, and it's really playing on, in a sense, feel-good, positive emotion, which is quite common amongst female entrepreneurs and business coaches right now targeting female audiences. Again, that might not be the exact audience that they're targeting, but even if it isn't, it looks like they clearly have a picture of the person that they're talking to, and they're using specific word choices in order to target those people. If you were to compare that to someone like myself, you would almost never hear me use these sorts of words. These aren't the descriptive language devices that I use to add flavor to my speech and my copy. And if you noticed, I just sort of used one of mine there, flavor. I often go for food-related terms. I like spicy sales tactics and stuff like that. So this is some pretty subtle stuff. It can feel really obvious, but it's actually really high level and can be really deep because this is the sort of thing that really makes people feel like they know you and that they're part of your tribe. When you speak the same language, the feeling that you get inside is that I belong here, I'm a part of this is safe, this is comfortable. And without those emotions, no sales are ever going to take place. So they've done this pretty well, and we'll look at the email and I'll show you how they're doing that there as well. With that being said, there's also some points here that haven't been executed as well. For example, try reading this, just try reading this sentence. It is a mouthful. It is not an easy sentence to read. So it's a live webinar. I would peel this out and put this up top here to make this more readable. But so join Gianna Gabellini for a live webinar that will reveal, so this part, reveal your one game-changing resource that you already have. This specifically, I would refine this and make this much more accessible language-wise. The benefit, this is a pretty good benefit, fun, easy, and super profitable. It's sort of vanilla, it's not particularly interesting, but it's to the point and anyone can understand it, and that's a good place to start. And it's clearly congruent with the photograph here. It looks like that one of the goals here of this process is this positive energy, and this idea is congruently expressed throughout the copy, even though the wording could definitely use some refinement in my mind. Now, there is another, I would say, misstep here, and that is consistency in messaging. If we look here, turn your current marketing into client attracting magic. That's sort of, okay, so that's our headline, that's the main idea. And then start attracting clients, discover the 3 major marketing mistakes that repel your ideal clients and sabotage your sale. If you look at all of these sentences individually, you can't say that there's anything wrong really with any of them. I mean, you could argue that this should be more specific or there should be a stronger benefit or something to that effect, but in isolation, you could say that each of these are sufficiently sensible that they could work. The problem is we have a bit of a disconnect here. So we're talking about client attracting magic, start attracting clients, and instead of following up by discovering the 3 steps to attracting clients or turning your current marketing into client attracting magic, we've gone with the negative here. And if you're just following the principle that we're more attracted to, or rather we respond more to negative emotions, fear and scarcity, etc., then in that sense this is correct, but it doesn't follow logically from the setup. So again, start attracting clients, discover the 3-step system that I use to bring me 2 clients every day, or X leads per day, or X amount of sales, some sort of concrete result that immediately follows from this premise, that supports this idea of attracting clients. So I hope I'm making this clear, because this is kind of subtle, but I hope I've made the point that the things you do to attract clients and discovering the mistakes that are repelling clients and sabotaging sales are not the same thing. Will this affect every member of your audience? Probably not, but even if it affects 10%, 20% of the people on this page, and they might not even consciously realize it, right? This is probably something that's going to be unconscious. They're just going to feel the disconnect, feel that something doesn't make sense, and then not take action. Because taking action isn't a logical decision anyway, it's something we do emotionally. So when all the page isn't congruent, we have that problem. Say, for example, this picture here, she was frowning or something like that. That would be a bit of a disconnect. It doesn't make sense with the messaging that's here. Likewise, this bullet point isn't congruent. But let's take a look at the email now, because the email also has a lot of this energy related, positive energy, repelling, client attraction, very nice consistency, even though this is, by the looks of it, an affiliate mailing out for the actual offer here. That is the thank you page. Yeah, here we go. The person running the webinar is not the mailer, but this is no less instructive. Now this, I think this copy is executed much more clearly and much more congruently. Remember what I was saying about things not following on the landing page, flowing logically from one thing to the next. Here it actually does. So if you're up to your eyeballs in marketing activities that drive you crazy and drain your energy, then you're very likely repelling rather than attracting your ideal clients. That makes a lot of sense. Now you can use that negative sensibly. The consequence of that, which means you're probably losing thousands of dollars in income. This is a really nice touch. A lot of people won't go this far. A lot of people writing their copy will say, if this, then this. You're likely repelling rather than attracting your ideal clients, and then not contextualizing the result of that, not making it as concrete, as tangible as possible. The bottom line is that you're losing thousands of dollars in income each month. That's really important to include. There's a better way, and a call to action. This I would call a not exactly a curiosity CTA, but before you've described the benefit, it's a blind CTA. So we don't know what we're getting, we don't know the benefit of it. So only the most excited people are going to click on this link. And you can actually send people, so there are 3 links here. Depending what link they click on, you can even filter them into different campaigns or retarget them with different, or have them go to different landing pages and retarget them with different Facebook ads, for example. So the most engaged individual who doesn't need any information, doesn't need the benefits, they click on this. They can go receive different follow-up than someone who clicks on the last link and who needed the additional explanation. If you are just starting out, don't do this sort of stuff, because this is a small percentage change. But if you have a very large list or a very big audience, then this sort of thing makes sense. And it's, in any case, it's good to understand how this system works, or rather how this setup works, and how you can apply this psychology. Because maybe otherwise you might think that, okay, I have to explain everything before having my call to action, but in fact you don't. Especially in an email like this, it's easy to have multiple CTAs here, different context than a landing page. Okay, so here is then the main benefit. You'll discover a simple tweak. This implies that it's easy, that's pretty good, to multiply your client attraction and skyrocket your sales. To me, this sounds really awkwardly worded, but it might make sense to their particular audience. The problem that I see here with multiply your client attraction is that it's not at all concrete. It doesn't make a lot of tangible sense. Now, depending on what they actually mean here, it might be something like things that you might talk about would be your ability to make a great first impression, how long it takes on a phone call before a client asks about pricing or about the service or something like that. It could be anything under the sun, but the point would be, if I were writing this copy, I would find something much more specific to include in this section. But that being said, overall this is pretty decent, and this is a nice touch. Also implying, so simple tweak implies simplicity, and without adding anything to your already full calendar, also implies ease, speed, simplicity. So you can get in on the secret here. Adding in some more curiosity, a lot of, and this is very common and often the best way to do things. And by that I mean you talk about what it is and what it will do for you without explaining any how-to. You can get in on the secret here. You have to actually show up to find out what the secret is. Very unique sign-off, which is if you're on this list for any length of time, you'll see this over and over. But a nice way of changing up the typical talk soon that so many marketers use. So from a personalization and branding standpoint, this makes a lot of sense. And another very common approach, a combination of a benefit, get more clients, make more money, and build a profitable business, and a couple actually ideas packaged in here. One being that this is big and this is going to change everything. And 2, doubling down on the idea of this is secret, this is new, this is something you don't know. It's not going to be the same old stuff you hear on every single webinar. So this is pretty clever, and they've done a great job switching up the language in each CTA. Join the training, get in on the secret here, find out for yourself here. Really good CTAs. And the last thing I want to take a look at is the subject line, which seems, I imagine that it was pretty effective. Less marketing equals more clients is a very strong curiosity headline, because we're always wondering, how can I do more marketing? How can I do better marketing, etc. So this idea, well, how could less marketing possibly mean more clients? Open and find out. So, I mean, it certainly got me to open, and I get hundreds of emails every day. But as you'll see, the core theme running through here, the core psychological trigger, is curiosity. And between this email and the landing page, using that language, using the language of the audience in order to make a deep connection with them. So I hope you found that interesting and instructive. I really found both the email and the landing page, they were interesting to me. If there is one main takeaway or one assignment, one thing that you can do right now in order to use the stuff from this, I would make a list of these little phrases that work, and words and short phrases that your target audience uses, or that for branding purposes you want to use with your target audience. This can work both ways. One, the pre-existing language that your audience has. Two, the language that you want to use with them. I would love to say things like flavorful or spicy sales tactics, and so on and so forth, using food-related language. These individuals prefer this energy and magnetism-related language, and your audience is going to have their own language. You are going to have your own language, and this is a great example of using that in action, seeing that in action. So I hope this was interesting and instructive. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and I will see you in another video real soon.